days in Locust Grove at 10 o'clock. And then I'm open for...
Yes, I know.
And good morning. Hey, we've got a little more than just the usual suspects in this morning. I see Scrimshaw Rose. Good morning. Striker's here. Megan's with us, but I don't see Jamie yet. Good to see Rebel Jack in there representing from Twitch, doing God's work, getting us out across another platform. Twitch is probably our least viewed platform, but we're growing there, and that's surprisingly interesting. And Jeff Goldblum, I see you from time to time on Twitter, and it's a different fart joke, but it still strikes. So good morning, everybody.
All right. Good morning.
How you doing this morning?
Well, I'm 8.5% better. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, and I assume that our audience does know, yeah, 8.5% inflation last month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may have noticed that gas prices seem to have gone down, but they haven't. Gas taxes have been vitiated in a pretty transparent attempt to pretend like the crisis isn't as severe as it appears to be.
I don't know. While on the one hand, you could say that it's a political stunt and all that. On the other hand, that they're doing what they can. So it's like, okay, do I complain about it? Plus, they turned off a tax. Whenever you tell me you turn off a tax, I'm going to have to call that a win. And besides, really, at this point, the gas prices going down is only a small bit of relief. Like, dude, like when I went to the grocery store the other day, like it kind of made my heart do like the little thing. It's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, and like I don't know if you know this, but like now is not the time to be a renter.
Yeah. Well, now is not the time to become a renter. That's for damn sure. Now is not the best time to be trying to buy either. And we're not doing real estate stuff this morning, but just here's why from the real estate perspective, everything should be scaring the hell out of you right now, because the real estate market currently is dramatically overinflated. It's artificially overinflated. Prices are unjustifiably high. But money is still cheap, right? Lower interest rates.
Not for much longer.
What we're going to see is within the next year, right? 6 months ago, I was saying 18 months. It will be shortly after the election. No matter which way the election goes, there will be a bubble pop. If the Dems win, which probably will not happen, the bubble pop will be much more severe because part of it will be based on the speculation. But there will be a bubble pop. You will see real estate prices absolutely plummet. Real estate values plummet. At the same time, interest rates go through the roof. And I would not at all be surprised to see real estate, to see interest rates similar to the 1980s by the time the current Carter is out of office.
Well, I mean, everything else lines up. Like, there was the inflation. And I mean, when you're talking... Look, when you're talking 8% inflation a month, like, that's... Man, that's bad. That's bad. And okay. All right, fine. Let me stop talking like Kamala Harris.
Yeah, we're talking about Robert Third Reich this morning.
No, I was just going to say, let me stop talking like Kamala Harris and you know, Russia is a big country.
Oh, God. Okay, we're talking about Elon Musk this morning, but we're talking about Elon and Twitter because we've got a new hot take from
Robert Forthreich.
And I want to scroll down a little bit into the article.
God, this
towards
guy
the end of the article. I want you to see
such a commie
this.
piece of shit.
He says this in the middle of the article, and this is him saying the quiet part out loud. He's here. As you'll see as we go through this article in just a minute. This line, he's making an accusation against Elon Musk and Donald Trump and Putin, because as far as people like Third Reich are concerned, those are all the same people, or Fourth Reich rather, and as far as they're concerned, these are all the same people, and that is telling and horrifying that people like this guy right here, who used to be the U.S. Secretary of Labor,
under Obama.
Don't forget that.
That's why he is who he is.
This communist was our Secretary of Labor under the coffee cream communist President Barack Obama.
And look, sometimes we have a tendency to be hyperbolic, but in this case, no. Robert Reich has literal ties to communism. It's, Google it. So, for some reason, that was not a disqualifier for Obama. I wonder why that was. But whatever.
Because Obama hated the Constitution?
So that was one of those
things that he said out loud?
That was... Okay.
It was one of those things that Obama said out loud. This is Reich writing an opinion piece on the situation with Musk and Twitter. So just, Musk bought a controlling interest in Twitter, plopped down $2.5 billion and just bought up enough Twitter to be the largest shareholder, and just recently refused to accept a position on the board. What's interesting about that for the speculators, and Reich mentions it in just a minute, I think, later in the article, I believe, but what's interesting about that for the speculators is if Musk took the spot on the board, he'd be agreeing to never purchase more than 14.5% of the available stock. Since he has not taken his spot on the board, he can go with an outright hostile takeover and just buy all the stock he wants. He could buy it all. Which, by the way, even with Musk's substantial wealth, is no small thing. Holy crap! Sergeant Major Lowry is on Twitch.
And he's watching us on Rumble and Twitch. That's
He'd be twitching. So here's what Reich says about Musk. And just this headline, Elon Musk's vision for the internet is dangerous nonsense. Musk now faces no limit on how much of Twitter stock he can buy. He'll buy as much as he needs to gain total control.
I hope so.
Steve says, I want that much FU money. Yeah, me too. The Russian people know little about Putin's war on Ukraine because Putin has blocked their access to the truth, substituting propaganda and lies. There are no good guys in the Ukraine situation, and let me just remind you, there's a lot coming out of the Ukraine about what the Ukraine is doing that is propaganda and lies. We had the story about the guys where the Russian ship came up on the little island, and the Ukrainian soldiers told them to go F themselves, and then they were all blown up and killed. And it turned out, oh no, they weren't blown up and killed. They're fine. No, they're okay. That was a piece of propaganda. Now, the conversation happened. The ship did approach the island, but there was an attempt through propaganda to create useful martyrs there. And it was effective. People believed the story for nearly a week. And then once it was debunked, it was such a good story that they kept telling it. Really? I was not expecting thunder today. I hadn't looked at the weather.
Oh, let's see, that's your hearing aids. That's not thunder, that's your family.
Is it really?
Yes.
That sounded like thunder rolling outside. Okay.
Yeah, that's your family.
I thought I was about to have a bad day shooting houses. So at least the U.S. responded to Trump's lies, says Reich. Trump had 88 million Twitter followers before Twitter took him off its platform, just 2 days after the attack on the Capitol, which he provoked, false, in part with his tweets. Prove it. Reich, you're just like every other leftist commie shitburger. You're a damn liar. It's not complicated. You're a damn liar. Now, your complaint is that Elon Musk is going to tolerate free speech. Okay? When you talk about people inciting violence, what did you have to say, Reich, about BLM riots?
Yay! Woohoo!
How much money did you send to bail BLM terrorists out of prison? Did you send as much as Kamala did?
And, well, look, let's not forget, okay? When the BLM riots happened, the fiery but mostly peaceful protests, God, you want to talk about like one of just the top 10 images that fully conveys how propaganda works of all time. The fiery but mostly... Anyhow.
The building behind the reporter was on fire.
Yes, okay. So, you know, like at the Capitol, it turns out that the cops were like, oh, well, I guess you guys can come in. Which, you know, most law-abiding people are going to think, well, if a cop says I can do it, I can probably do it.
Yeah, if a police officer in uniform opens a door to a public property and says, please come in, then it's reasonable to assume that you're not, in fact, engaged in trespassing.
Well, anyhow, okay, I got my thread back. During the BLM riots, nobody gave them permission to burn their Walmarts down. You know, like, and this is important. Okay.
Don't try to read. You'll get to. Go ahead.
No, I mean that was it. It's just I was making the comparison that the
So Trump was thrown off of Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, everything else, and Reich says these moves were necessary to protect American democracy. You know, like fortifying an election to guarantee the proper outcome, according to Time Magazine's direct quote. These moves were necessary, but Elon Musk, the richest man in the world with 80 million Twitter followers, wasn't pleased. Musk tweeted that U.S. tech companies shouldn't be acting as the de facto arbiter of free speech.
Okay. You know, what's funny is when the left accidentally, says the quiet part out loud. You mean to tell me that you have to be careful with how much power you give tech companies because they have the potential to be the, what did he write? The de facto arbiter of free speech? What does that word arbiter mean, Chris?
The arbiter is the leader of an arbitration, is a decision maker in essentially a negotiation for terms.
So an arbiter can just make a unilateral decision.
Correct.
Oh, I see. As in, could decide to, I don't know, let Iran continue to have their Twitter accounts, but kick off Donald Trump.
Right, because death to America is fine, but please be peaceful and make your voices heard is hate speech and violence. So, Wright goes on to complain that Musk has blocked him on Twitter. And that seems weird for somebody who's a free speech absolutist. Okay, here's the difference between what you're arguing and actual free speech, right? Twitter has decided that Trump doesn't have a right to speak. But you seem to think that people don't have a right to ignore you. I can say, with my First Amendment, anything I want. That doesn't mean you have to listen.
It doesn't mean I have to listen to him. If I got sick of Chris, I could just walk away. And that's what he did. And that's the thing with Robert Reich. Like, if you're going to listen to Fourth Reich, you got to be willing to put up with a lot of bullshit. Like, remember when he would do the videos where he would, draw on the whiteboard?
Yeah.
And they would time ramp the thing he was drawing on the whiteboard as he explained a concept that was actually pretty simple, but he made it sound like he was just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. He's quite the accomplished bullshit artist. So, here's where it gets hilarious.
Will Musk use this clock
Musk has long advocated a libertarian vision of an uncontrolled internet. That vision is dangerous rubbish. There's no such animal, and there never will be.
Yeah, there is. There's the dark web.
Correct. Someone has to decide on the algorithms at every platform. That's not true. Not every platform has to have algorithms for search. That's what the dark web is. It's essentially uncatalogued, unsearchable websites. They exist, but you basically have to know the web address to get to them. What they reveal and what they hide. How they're designed, how they evolve, what they reveal and what they hide. For example, Hunter's laptop. Musk has enough power and money to quietly give himself this sort of control over Twitter. See, Reich's problem is not with somebody having control over Twitter. It's with somebody he disagrees with having control over Twitter. Musk talks about freedom of speech, but his real power is freedom of reach. Oh, aren't you clever with your little homonymal pseudopun, quivering quim. Reaching 80 million Twitter followers without accountability to anyone, including critics like me, and enough money to buy himself a seat on Twitter's board. Without accountability to anyone. Free speech does not require accountability. In fact, free speech vitiates accountability. Actions actions require accountability. Speech is a very different thing. But people like Fourth Reich, people who want you to believe that words are violence, and therefore it should be legally permissible to assault a person for saying words that you disagree with. They want you to forget that there's a difference between speech and action. They want to treat speech as if it is action itself.
I still think the thing with Will Smith was a test run.
Indeed.
Like, I really do. It's like, can we shift the Overton window? Can that happen? Oh, nope, we're not quite there yet. Close.
So that's where we are with Fourth Reich right now, and Reason has a. Oh wait, no. There's a little more here that I want to get to. Okay, Musk says he wants to free the internet, but what he really aims to do is make it even less accountable than it is now, when it's often impossible to discover who is making the decisions about how algorithms are designed, who is filling social media with lies, who's poisoning our minds with pseudoscience and propaganda, and who's deciding which versions of events to go viral and which stay under wraps.
Whoa. Wait. What the hell? Of course. Okay. Hey, Robert Forthright, let me just tell you, okay? Guys like Chris and I happen to agree with that one sentence, that one paragraph in a vacuum. No shit, we want to know how the algorithms work and why certain things get pushed to the top and certain things don't. And you know what's funny is stuff you agree with has a tendency to get pushed to the top. Seems like you're a little butthurt that Elon Musk might occasionally push something you don't agree with to the top. Because it's not like Elon is a big, giant right-wing guy. He's more like a left-wing civil libertarian. Okay, there are left-wing positions he's espoused in the past. But no. He's not a true Scotsman, right? Right? He's got enough money to outlast this struggle session bullshit they want to put it. Oh my God, you want to talk about gaslighting? Of course I want to know how the algorithms are designed. If you're that worried about it, go after the people that are actually in charge, not the guy that is not yet in charge, you nattering shitburger.
See? And I want to point this out in particular. First, you have Musk says he wants a free internet, right? And he's got the scare quotes around the word free. Musk says he wants to free the internet, right? But what he really aims to do is make it even less accountable than it is now. Robert, my dude. What in the name of Zeus's third nipple do you think freedom is? Jesus tap dancing Christ, shitbird. Maximum freedom is minimum accountability. To enjoy freedom profitably, one requires responsibility. But accountability is a different creature. And when you say accountability, you defended Hillary Clinton. You abhor accountability. You are only interested in the pretense of accountability as a cudgel to control dissidents. You, Robert Fourth Reich, are a lot like the Third Reich. You're going to make these accusations about Elon, Trump, and Putin as if they're the same type of person. But what you are describing What you are opposing is the very opposition to what you would describe as the Third Reich. You are pro-fascist, totalitarian, censorship, and information control.
I mean, look, who's deciding which versions of events go viral and which stay under wraps? Hey, asshole, you worked for the guy that invited Mark Zuckerberg to the White House to plan all this out.
You worked for the guy that investigated and arrested without warrant journalists.
I mean,
let's not forget the Obama that Reich worked for, the scandalous Obama,
right,
weaponized his agencies to intimidate journalists, remove them from the White House, arrest them, and weaponized his IRS to shut down non-agreeing 501c3s. This is who you are.
Man,
right? You are the enemy you are warning us about.
But they know this. They know this. This, man, you want to talk... We talked about Alinsky briefly yesterday, but I mean, that's like Alinskyism in action, right? Like, you're... And we talked before, Ann Coulter wrote a whole book about it, about how, like, whatever the left accuses you of, they're actually guilty of it. Like, and it's so obvious. Oh, man, like, it's still making my blood boil a little bit. Like, my dude, who's pumping the internet full of pseudoscience? It's not Elon Musk. He doesn't control enough of it yet. Oh, God.
So... I actually had several other articles, and there were a bunch more points that I wanted to get to, but we're running up on time just on the analysis from this particular article. So I'm going to finish with this series of accusations from Reich. Musk has never believed that power comes with responsibility. He's been unperturbed when his tweets cause real suffering. Shut up, asshole. During his long and storied history with Twitter, he has threatened journalists and tweeted reckless things. And here's the reckless things. In March 2020, he tweeted that children were essentially immune to COVID. I'm sorry, how is this reckless? That is a fact.
And
that is a scientific fact which is corroborated by the CDC. The data on this are very, very clear. There is a statistical 0 incidence of children dying from COVID-19. Medical fact. CDC corroborated. Baseline demographic statistics. The statement children are essentially immune to COVID is a true statement. Then it says he pushed cryptocurrencies that he's invested in. So, what's the problem? I don't see you complaining about Pelosi's obvious insider trading. Shut your cockhole. When a college student started a Twitter account to track Musk's private plane, there's all you need to know right there. Private plane. Musk tried and failed to buy him off before blocking him.
So he tried to buy him off before going hostile.
He tried to buy him off, and he didn't go hostile. He blocked him. All he did is block the kid from his Twitter account.
No,
it's not like he launched what would probably have been a very reasonable lawsuit to say, hey, this is what we call, when we're talking with the police, stalking. It is, in fact, a crime. Robert, if people aren't allowed to take actions to protect themselves from the activities of criminals, like, for example, your friends in the public sector who were actively engaged in opposing laws to prevent the grooming of children into bizarre sex cults, then maybe, Robert, maybe we're just not the same.
No, he knows better. That's the thing. Like, you want to go back to the bottom of it, okay? The left knows they can't win by telling you the truth. And so they're going to build up this giant straw man. And you pay really close attention to the things that the left accuses you of, and you can actually find everything that they're guilty of.
Yes.
Rejection, as Dan Berg said earlier in the comments. Yeah, so all of this about, super rich, evil oligarchs that are going to put their thumb on the scale. Bring it up.
Just like I said, and that's why I opened with this line.
Yeah. Those evil, super rich oligarchs that are going to put their thumb on the scale and influence what stupid people like you and I think, right? Oh, man. But Elon currently doesn't have the amount of power required to do that. Golly. They always say the quiet part out loud if you know how to listen.
Reich's entire complaint here is that what Elon is threatening to do is to take away the power, right? He says it in no uncertain black and white. Make no mistake, this is not about freedom, it's about power. Reich and his ilk, which includes the current administration, are terrified that people are going to take away their power.
Demography Now makes a point. To be fair, Musk can be full of shit at times, but he's free to be full of shit. You are correct, but
that may be the entire point.
I was about to say, and that's kind of the point. But the difference, okay, and the older I get, the more that I'm finding this to be, a good bellwether. And if there's a way that I can condense it down to just a few words, but it goes something like this. All right, if somebody says, hey, this is my opinion, I believe strongly in it, and then here are the facts that I have to back up that opinion, there's a good chance they're telling you the truth. They might be wrong, but they're not intentionally lying to you.
Right.
But when somebody says, I'm 100% objective, I am the arbiter of truth, you need not worry, all I ever do is call balls and strikes in the game of life.
Liar.
That's right. Those are the people that are full of shit.
Except for maybe Jamie Dupree.
Well, he can't talk anymore, so.
No, but he's got the 2.0.
I know, it was a joke.
I know.
It was a dark joke.
I know. Jamie Dupree was too good at being objective, so God took his voice.
Yeah, it's... Okay, anyhow. But I think... Is that it?
Yeah.
Are we 8.5% complete?
Wait. No, Alex, you're actually wrong on this. Just because you're using public data to conduct your stalking does not make it not stalking. You're correct. The FAA does make those flight paths public record. That's a fact. But just because a thing is public record doesn't mean that the publication of that thing is necessarily allowed by law. There are some other places that we can look at how that works. But in this case, no. What he did was, he established a record, a habit of doing it, a pattern of publishing. It's public record, yeah. Anybody can go look it up, but that's very different than publishing the data altogether. An established pattern of life, following somebody around. If I'm using your public information to know where you are at all times and following you around and harassing you with that, right, it's not different than if I made it a point to take. Let's say you had a celebrity who checks in every time he stops for a cup of coffee, and I make it a point to show up everywhere that he stops for a cup of coffee and harass him. Part of what I have done is I have used the publicly available information to commit the crime. So what this kid was doing, it's absolutely stalking. Just because individual elements of the crime are not in and of themselves crimes, that doesn't mean
Jesus, your dad.
that doesn't mean that the crime is. That doesn't mean that the crime itself is permissible.
Top comment award. That is.
So yes, his tweeting individual flight paths, that's one thing, but creating a pattern, that's stalking.
Sergeant Major gets the top comment.
And I don't know if I want to give that top comment. That's yeah, I'll give you that one, old man. It's yeah. You're in a dangerous place if a spook thinks you're cute. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow it's already Firearms Friday tomorrow.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is.
It is.
All
Came
right.
up on us. All right. Y'all be safe. Bye-bye. That one.